Karen, I'd like to have one of those before you get out of here this morning.
You don't have any blue and gold ones, do you?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, that's a blue. It's a bluish gray.
That's close enough.
I'll have one too also.
That one's really nice the color.
Can I give my granddaughter one
Yes.
of those orange ones? They go to
Oh, there you
their
go.
little bullpups.
Better to have a prayer spray that matches your school.
I'm going to
Oh, yeah.
do two.
Thank you so
welcome.
much. Yeah. Thank you for your nice prayer, too.
Thank you very much.
Always good to start the year.
Are you ready? The meeting is now called to order. Are there any items from the public? Hearing no items from the public, I need the approval of the agenda.
Make that motion to approve the agenda for January the 9th, 2025.
Second?
Been properly moved and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Any questions on the purchase log? It's a little bit longer than it was
Last week.
last Thursday.
Not as small, but it's still small.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Wine, we've got 3 budget revisions.
Yes, sir. The first one you have is from Sheriff Blair for Department 700. He's requesting permission to move $10,000 from materials and supplies into his 229, which is his court costs line item. The second one also from Sheriff Blair for Department 716, which is animal control, asking for your permission to move $15,000 from salaries into overtime. And the last one is from your court martial division, account 416, asking to move $210 from materials and supplies to professional services.
And who was that last one from?
That was Tom Knock, but it's Mike Lang's department. Mike's teaching him the ropes on the finance side of the
Okay.
house over there.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, they have a change of status. I have a new hire recommendation received from Tim Zayat, Community Corrections Director, for Lee Schneider Miller for DRC Therapist 1, effective January 21, 2025, with an annual salary of $65,000. New hire recommendation received from Mike Lang, Chief Court Marshal, for Rodney Krebs as a Deputy Court Marshal, effective February 1, 2025, with an annual salary of $39,017. Change of status received from the Honorable Larry Hess, Assessor, effective January 1, 2025, for Kelly Harding, Property Tax Clerk, to receive an increase from $41,000 to $47,000, and Michelle Keith, Personal Property Tax Clerk, to receive an increase from $44,000 to $50,000 for taking on additional workloads. Request from Honorable Anthony Petrucci, County Clerk, to remove Sherry Horfat at the payroll effective December 31, 2024. Commissioner Boyd was not present for our December meeting of 2026. We have a bond release.
I'm going to pull that one out and vote on it.
We're going to pull, I move to accept the minutes for December 26th.
Second. It's been properly moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Mr. Boyd, let the record show that Commissioner Boyd abstained. Ayes have it. Have a bond release for Middle Creek Manor, Phase 2, Lots 70 through 111, 225-229, and 243 through 262. And that's on BCP number 90-05, tied to BCP number 2110-370, LOC number 1215. And that's being approved by the engineering department. Bond release, Middle Creek Manor, Phase 3B, final plat, lots 301 to 311, 322-3 329 is tied to BCP 027-15, tied to BCP number 22305-157, LOC number 3000111105-48. Engineering is making that recommendation. Bond release for Middle Creek Manor, Phase 3, lots 400 through 442 is final plat, file number 27-15 to 2203-092 and 2303-094, LOC 8127714, and that's also a recommendation from Doug Smith, our county engineer. Do you have any questions for Doug on this? Thank you, Doug. We have a stop payment cancellation check for the clerk's finance office. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Next up, we have the Honorable Larry Hess, the Berkeley County Assessor. Morning, sir.
Morning.
Congratulations to you guys for your new position, and welcome aboard, Mr. Hardy, or Commissioner Hardy.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Today we've got a couple taxpayer errors, and I got a couple office errors I got to present to you. The first ones we have are the taxpayer error. We have 3 of them, and they all they were leased vehicles, and they all reported them on their return, which they shouldn't have done that. And it says right on there, please do not include your leased vehicles. But I had to bring them to you as a taxpayer error. So I got 3 of them, total amount of $1,491.07.
Yeah, I need a motion to approve the exonerations.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. All those opposed? Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Aye. Yes, sir.
And
You have 12 personal property.
Yep.
tax.
For clarification for Mr. Hardy, that means exonerations for those taxpayer errors, they aren't approved even though they're approved. In other words.
Yes, sir, I understand. Thank you.
Okay, just to clarify that.
Mhm.
I do have a total of 12 office error, personal property exonerations. And as listed that's listed there, most of them are double bill and keyed wrong values. The one down there for, I think it was for the Hamel, that value was $54,225. They keyed it for $554,225. So it came up to be an $8,400 tax bill. So that's
But they called real quick, didn't they, Larry?
with that extra number in there, it just throws off.
Good way to get their attention.
Yeah. But the last page, there's 4 of them on there. They were all just double billed. But if you total them all up, we've got the total of $11,891.20 for the total 12.
Very good. Need a motion to approve the 12 personal tax exonerations for reason of office error.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. No. Ayes have it. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Good job.
Commissioner Boyd, board and meeting report.
Yeah, I do have one question now. The minutes for December 26th, we did those last week.
I'm just going by my notes, mister.
No, I know, I see them in there. I had to go back and double check to make sure I wasn't incorrect.
It's boss lady's job over here. I don't pick it.
I'll check with Lee, I wasn't here.
Okay,
We double approve.
We have
We'll
to
make
approve the
sure.
minutes for the January 2nd.
correct. Today would be the January 2nd meeting.
We'll look at it if we made a mistake.
Well, just when I saw that I was absent, I'm like, well, I didn't miss Right, and so I went back and opened last week's agenda, and last week we had done those minutes, so, yeah, it's okay, I want to make sure I wasn't
Well, the
having
26
deja vu at
approved.
first.
How about that?
Yeah, okay,
We double approved those minutes.
yes.
Yeah. So
double
they're
approved.
in.
They're in.
We'll do the second and the
I was like,
ninth
I know I
next
only
week.
missed one meeting now.
In stone, written in
They
stone.
have, in between the two of
That
us.
was my birthday for her.
And that on vacation. We couldn't have
Happy
done
birthday.
more ones. I'll check with her.
So I had a roundhouse meeting last night. Things are moving along there. Been great progress. The elevator has been stalled for some time due to a design error from Alpha, and then the general contractor has been trying to be able to get it corrected. He's having trouble. He promises he'll see it through, though. That project was supposed to be done a long time ago. But with the error, we've not been getting a lot of response back from Alpha. They had a changeover in, I don't know if it's leadership or, Dick Klein had retired. And so there's somebody else in charge now. So that was mid-project, and the designs were done way back when. And now we're stuck with this elevator that's not finished because of a design error, and the contractor is struggling to find someone to fix the design error. So that's one thing. The other big topic of discussion was the work or try to work between with the museum board and the Roundhouse to make a home or temporary long-term home for the Norwalk car in the car wash station on the back. The board did say they're willing to move forward with discussions, but there are some things that need to be addressed with who will open and close the site. Will there need to be employees? Will there need to be workers' comp? Will they have insurance to cover the building? A lot of questions that need to be answered, but the board was in a consensus that they would be in favor of doing that, but there's a lot of questions to be answered on who's going to be in charge of what and all those things with the Norwalk car and that process, and once it's in place. We did adopt the 2025 farmers market contract, and the night market will be new coming into next year. And that's pretty much all we had at the Roundhouse. But we're still trying hard to get that stuff finished there for the upstairs with the elevator and things, but it's been on a stall.
Yeah, and that's a little disheartening, because I know that there were troubles with the cost involved with the engineering on getting that squared away anyway. So now come back to find there's an engineering issue.
It's been with Alpha both times. Even when we did the bathrooms, we had issues. But I don't know if maybe next time we look for somebody different. I don't know. They've been hard to reach. They're not responding.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hardy?
I have not attended any board meetings. I had a board meeting on Monday night with the Planning Commission, which was canceled due to weather. So that's the only one that's been on my agenda so far. I spent most of the day yesterday going to all of my board assignments. So I spent some time at the health department. Dr. McLaughlin was there, and he introduced me to everyone out there. So spent about an hour and a half out there just meeting everyone, introducing myself. Also did the same thing with Region 9. Know Rachel and most of her staff. I've worked with them on the legislature side, but I spent about an hour or so with them. Introduced myself to HEPMO or MPO, and went out to the water board yesterday and spent some time with those people out there, introducing myself and talking with them. Tracy has sent me a copy of all of the schedules of the different meetings. Unfortunately, I will miss my first water board meeting, which is going to be Monday. I will be in Charleston for the governor's inauguration, so unfortunately I will miss my first meeting. I apologize to those gentlemen for that, but that's all that I have to report. I've met everyone. I'm sure I won't remember all their names. It'll take some time to get all that down, but looking forward to getting started with my board assignments.
That's great. You had fun then
Yes.
yesterday.
Yeah.
That's what we did. Mr. Whitaker?
Have no meetings to report on yet. They're coming.
Very good, sir. Mr. Kelly?
Yes, sir. Tuesday, I had a sewer board meeting. Most of the meeting was involved. This is a study done by, and work done by the EADS group out of Johnstown, Pennsylvania. And they were hired and been working on this for over a year. It's a capacity remedial measures plan for the sewer district in Berkeley County. We have over 400,000 feet of piping in our system now, and the system's been in place for 30 years. But during wet weather events, we do have some overflow issues in certain places in the system, and this is to address those concerns. It's going to be phased in actually over 30 years, and the projected cost could be as much as $220 million. And if you divide that into 30 years, that's a $7 million commitment. In some cases, there'll be pipe that's old that needs replaced or enlarged. There'll be some plants that will need to be improved. And some of the issues, honestly, go back to the private residents that are probably putting stormwater into our public sanitary system. So collection, yes. So that's causing probably as much of the issue as anything. So, but they're very diligent in working on this. The study was well prepared and been real intense in getting to this point. And it goes to the EPA for approval here over the next few months, and hopefully by the end of this calendar year, they'll have this thing in effect and they'll start making these improvements. In fact, honestly, there's already some improvements already being made, like the Woods, for instance, the new treatment plant for the sewer back at the Woods is under construction now as we speak. So they're headed in the right direction, and obviously funding is always the issue. Following that, we meet twice a month. Then we follow that with the stormwater board meeting as well, and the appeal process for our individual county permit for MS4 is still in motion. We hope to get some answers within the next few months on that individual permit. We're hearing some good vibes out of the DEP. The governor did keep the current, I think his name is Ward, his last name is Ward, in place at the DEP, the executive director of the DEP. He's still there. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. But hopefully the DEP will start to work with us a little better than they have in the past. So.
I have a question.
Yes.
On some of that sewer lines being done, would they would that include like separating lines from stormwater from sewer so that they don't all tie into the same?
They're already separated.
Oh, okay.
It's what I'm saying. Individuals sometimes tap into our sewer sanitary lines and do it.
If you have, sometimes you have a sump pump in your basement,
Uh-huh.
and they pump it into the
Right.
regular sewer drain.
I see what you're saying.
And there's places.
Well, I thought there were some places too, though, where the
One of
pipes were still
Believe it or not, one of the
tied
worst,
to doing the same thing, stormwater going into the sewer.
one of the worst places in the whole county is the town of Hedgesville.
Right.
Even though it's elevated and there's a pump station down below,
Mm-hmm.
the town holds water. And that's the Hedgesville Peckin plant is the one that probably is going to need the most attention. So, now, in saying that, they just renovated and upgraded 6 of the pumping stations for that plant recently, and it's working well. And there's no issues when it's dry weather, obviously. It's only when we have a wet weather event of 2 or 3 days of rain. So, but it's something that they're obviously aware of. They're working towards, and the system's 30 years old. Let's be honest. From the very beginning, the growth of the county and as many people have tapped into these plants.
You didn't have the same inspections 30 years ago as what you have today. They have to pull a vacuum test on all manholes, all lines, and it has to hold a certain vacuum for so many hours or so many minutes before they'll accept it into the system.
Steve, am I correct in saying that capacity, right now, Berkeley County, we're okay on capacity
We
for
are.
sewer?
We are.
But as the standards change, as we move forward, I'm sure the standards will change and will tighten up, which will affect our capacity as we move forward.
The sewer board is, as far as capacity, except for wet weather events, is in really good shape. In fact, I've heard as much as, we got 50% capacity in use, okay? So we've got more capacity, but there's some issues with some of this overflow stuff that's going
Yeah.
on during wet
Well,
weather
we're
events.
blessed that we didn't have, there was an antiquated system of those tying the stormwater and sewer together was something that was done 30, 40 years ago, and some Cabell County and Putnam County are struggling with that quite a bit because they tied those systems together and now they're overwhelmed. But so luckily I know we deal with some homeowners putting some water in, but our systems aren't tied together.
And on the stormwater side, we do have a issue that came up that we need to be aware of, you need to be aware of, and this is not a good thing. But when you have an HOA and you have a stormwater pond within that HOA, recently, a lot was sold privately to an individual, and the lot was the stormwater for the HOA. And apparently he bought it through the tax sale. So we're going to have to look into this and try to prevent this from happening in the future. And I understand it's happened before because obviously as a MS4 permitted county, we need to control and have those HOA stormwater ponds maintained properly.
So
Yeah,
what did
there's a
they,
certain release that's already being started on those. They're trying to make them retroactive.
Yeah.
Because those were separate lots where the stormwater management ponds were. So before the final plat is recorded, they have to make sure that those are removed from the tax rolls so that you do not get taxed.
And they should go into like,
They go
if
through
a
it.
development has like a green area
Yeah.
for recreation and stuff, it should be considered as part of that.
It's an
HOA,
easement.
so what are they doing, lifting them up a little bit, putting a house there and forgetting that there was
Well,
supposed
they
to be a
can't,
pond?
they
They
can't
can't
build a
build
house
there.
there.
They can't,
They can't. So they're buying these lots very cheaply and thinking they
thinking
could
they're
maybe,
gonna die.
but they find out they
They
can't.
can't do anything with it.
No.
So
But
when
the
they let
problem
them
is
go,
now, who's going to maintain it?
Well, they could put it on stilts and put their house, have a pond under their house.
Yeah.
go ahead.
This MS4 thing is a very intense situation.
I can imagine, yeah.
And in the future, it's only going to get worse as we continue to grow.
Right.
And, if they would ever come up with this statewide MS4 permit that they talked about, the restrictions could even get more involved and more detailed, and it's going to make life difficult. And last week, I was talking about the thing I was going to replace for Jim Barnett. It's the LGAC. It's the Local Government Advisory Committee. And that committee is all about the Chesapeake Bay watershed. But it's 4 or 5 states involved with the Chesapeake Bay watershed. And so I'll have a meeting with that in March. But it ties in, of course, with the stormwater thing. So it makes sense that if I'm on the stormwater, I probably should serve in this capacity as well.
Federal.
It's a federal situation.
Mr. Delegate, you got something you'd like to add?
Just for everyone's clarification, everybody understands. Going forward, we don't have a problem with common areas being, ending up. at
That's
tax
been
sales
corrected in the-
Because we're not going to release any bonds until it is certainly titled to the HOA. But really, the problem starts with once a declaration of covenant class reported with common property, it should never be taxed as an individual portion to all of the unit owners, which by owning their property own a share of that. That didn't happen in the past, and we had some issues with the assessor's office in getting that straightened out. So going forward, we're fine, but there are still a number of them that are still working around in that process, and it's difficult to get that title cleaned up. So we've sent letters before to try to get the HOAs and the purchasers of these at these tax sales to try to clean them up, but oftentimes it doesn't happen, and we can't really just force.
It's a bad situation, to be honest about it. And that's one of the issues with the stormwater district in the future is going to be when these stormwater ponds aren't maintained, who has that responsibility? And if it falls back on us, then obviously we're going to need more funding for them to go in and do it ourselves. So
Yeah, there should be a stormwater management agreement in place that has the unit owners, but sometimes there's not. It's a mess that we're going to deal with.
Thank you.
stay on top of it, sir.
And it's 10 o'clock, and we do have a bid opening
Yes, sir. Mr. President, you have a bid opening for ammunition use in the Sheriff's Department. It has been duly advertised, placed on the website and direct mail to vendors that of known interest. It's for 150,000 rounds of 9mm training ammunition, 100,000 rounds of 223 5.56 training rounds, 20,000 rounds of 9mm duty ammo, 20,000 rounds of 223 duty ammo, and 5,000 rounds of 308 duty ammo. You have 4 bids.
First bid is from Chrysler Police Supply Incorporated out of Jeffersonville, Indiana. So they were, all advertised as items in stock and ready to be shipped. Most orders will be ASAP, one-time purchase. Every one of those are broke down individually and also a total. So I'm just going to read the total at $121,479.60. $121,479.60. The second one is by Whitmer. They are out of Coatesville, Pennsylvania. Whitmer Public Safety Group, and the total for them is $104,798.20.
Only 3 bids.
You had 3 bids. The other one did not belong.
Okay. The third bid is from Mountaineer Custom Cartridge out of Oak Grove Road, Grafton, West Virginia, with a total package of $124,850.
Who was the first company?
First company? Kistler Police Supply.
It was 121 what?
The bid number, oh, the 121,479.60.
Thank you, sir.
Get it?
4.
No 4s.
Oh,
There's only
only
3.
3 bids. All right. Mr. Cal, have you finished with your?
Yes, I have.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sorry for talking so long.
Accepted. I did have a development authority meeting yesterday. Finances there remain strong. I just want to give you the Project White was a medical linen facility that's going in there at Pikeside. As you go back to P&G, it's on the right-hand side. That's a project that we help with the gas line with the TIF funds. That project's moving along very well, and I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of an update on that. We also have a new company wanting to locate here. Actually, they're going to locate here. It's called Purgerite, and they work and do maintenance on major HVAC centers and data centers. So they'll go in to these large corporations and flush out their cooling and heating systems. So, but at the end of about 3 years, they want to be able to have employed about 125 folks. So that's a nice small business that's moving into our area. And this afternoon, I think all of us are going to Charlestown for the John Destin West Virginia Economic Outlook. So I'm anxious to see what his comments will be. He's pretty well respected across the state on his in his field there. So the only other thing we have on board and meeting commissions have reappointment of Dan Shergi to the Board of Zoning Appeal, and that term will expire December 31, 2024.
Need a motion, sir?
Yes, sir, if you would.
I so move.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Thank you. Excuse me?
Said right on time.
Okay. Next up is Tim Saya, Director of Community Corrections. Morning, sir.
Good morning.
Someone's following you, Tim.
Yeah, before I talk to you about why I'm here, I wanted to introduce you all to Kate Harding. Kate is
Morning.
our most recent addition to our team, and the prosecuting attorney's office loss is my gain. Kate's been working as an assistant prosecutor over there for a number of years, 7, 8, and she's got a fantastic reputation. If you didn't already know that. And she saw this the recruitment announcement for the deputy director position, and it appealed to her. And it was a very competitive process that she engaged in. There were some really good applicants that we had, but Kate was hard to beat. So here she is. I'm really happy that she's here. She's going to add a great deal to our operation over there, a whole lot that I can't offer. So I'm happy to have her, and I wanted to introduce you folks to her.
Very good. Welcome.
Welcome aboard. Yeah.
Congratulations on your new role.
Representative on that board, and they made a whole lot happen in a short amount of time. It's been quite the learning experience for me, being a part of that, and I've learned a great deal. Still have a lot to learn, but it was important to the board and to the executive director to make these funds available to the state sooner rather than later. So they really expedited a grant program, and they just wanted to make money available. So they earmarked, I don't remember the exact total now, it was 18 or 19 million dollars. There are five DHHR regions. Is there 6? I can't remember now.
6, yeah, but I may be wrong.
Anyways, there are 4 categories that they made funds available to, $800,000 per category per region. The categories were recovery and transitional housing, youth prevention and workforce development, child advocacy programs, and neonatal abstinence program. Child advocacy and neonatal abstinence programs is the 3rd category. The 4th category, diversion and interdiction programs. We submitted an application in the category of diversion and interdiction programs, and because I represent an agency that was requesting funds, I wasn't permitted to be a part of the scoring or the consideration of any application. I was completely set aside from that. But our application made it to the end, and we were awarded $625,644.46. And I'm here today to request some signatures on those documents to formally accept the award. What we decided we wanted to do with that award was to spread the money out a bit, and we wanted to benefit all of our local law enforcement agencies, Sheriff's Department, City Police Department, and the state police. So $64,090.82 will be awarded to the city police to purchase some interdiction equipment, some digital recorders, some video equipment, and what Chief Gibbons is most looking forward to is to be able to purchase a couple of drones, some of those high tech.
What was that figure again, Tim?
$64,090.82. And then some equipment for vehicle mountings. Sheriff's Department, we have $148,876.58 earmarked to purchase various equipment, cremator drug disposal unit, drug take back box. Some of those funds will be for interdiction training for the deputies, and then a couple of drug Raman analyzers, which are these high-tech laser type device that can determine what sort of substance they run across in the field. Some of the substances are dangerous, obviously, so they have the ability to determine. They will have the ability to determine exactly what the substance is that they're dealing with on the spot. And then $31,238.29 for the state police to buy also a Raman analyzer, and then some other various equipment. The remaining $381,438.77 will be for our operation there, and that money will be used to fund our community service program. As you know, the community service program is still reasonably new to community corrections. It's been in existence for a couple of years, but as we've wanted to bolster that program up, we've added a couple of additional staff. So the funds will be used to fund our community service coordinator and 2 community service specialists, as well as $50,000 to purchase a vehicle, and another $13,680.36 to cover the cost of our electronic health record that we use at the DRC.
What was the total for your amount?
$381,438.77. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about it.
I have a question. As the new guy, can you explain to me, all the other stuff is pretty self-explanatory from the city and the sheriff and the state police. Can you explain to me the community service program? I'm not aware of exactly what that program does and what it tries to achieve.
Yep. So per West Virginia State Code, counties, if they choose, can facilitate the operation of, I want to say it's up to 9 or 10 different types of community corrections programs. Here in Berkeley County, we operate 4: the Day Report Center, the Home Confinement Program, the Adult Drug Court Program, and the Community Service Program. So there are folks that flow through the courts that are low-level offenders. They haven't committed a crime that's necessarily jailable. These are folks that are working. We want to keep them working, but a consequence needs to be served for whatever it was that they did. So community service is one of those options. They can be assigned to work 10 to 1,000 hours of community service within a certain amount of time. Those folks are referred to the community service program, which is housed at the Day Report Center. Our community service coordinator receives those referrals from the courts and then oversees the implementation of the community service work being done. We are networked with 10 or 12 local businesses where folks can be sent to perform to complete their hours.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are assigned to the roadside litter program. They can complete their hours that way. Some of them go to the recycling center to perform their hours there. Some go to Goodwill.
Nonprofit organizations
Yes.
that they work with.
Roundhouse.
Roundhouse. Yep.
We used a bunch of Parks and Rec
Parks
over
and
the
Rec.
years.
Okay.
Community events that we have at the airport.
Yep. South Berkeley Little League.
Thank you very much.
All
for
part
that.
of the reason, John, why our jail bill is as low as it is.
Sure.
Even though this year it's
They're
inflated.
one of the many alternatives that we are using to keep our jail bill.
We're saving over $8 million a year as a result. So.
Well, and the term is used, we need to lock up the people that we're afraid of, not the people that we're mad at.
And it does a whole lot more than that, Commissioner Hardy. We're able to keep people, I say we as a team, but it's Tim and his group. They're able to keep families together. They're able to keep people employed, so they're not back out on the system, needing assistance because they have very full employment. So there's a whole lot of wins to that program. So
One of the other things that we want to
That's
accomplish through that program is that we don't necessarily just want people, hey, go do your hours. We want them to become better people through the process. So when their intake interview is being conducted, if Summer, our community service coordinator, recognizes that this is a person that could benefit from some GED classes or some life skills classes or parenting classes, they can complete some of their hours by participating in those classes. So they're not just going picking up trash to be punished. We want them to leave the program better than they were. We want our community to be better in a variety of ways. So that's one of the options that they have for completing some of those hours.
Sure. One other quick question for you before you finish up. The West Virginia First Foundation, obviously there's going to be a lot of money that's going to be coming into communities, municipalities, counties, different organizations. I had a conversation with Gary this morning in regards to that. I think that it's going to be this body and many other bodies' responsibilities to be very careful with the usage of that money. Whenever there is a large sum of money that is flooded into the system for a very small criteria of usage, there can be bad players. There can be people that are coming in that are trying to grab a hold of a piece of that money, and maybe you're not going to have the best interest involved for the people that they should be serving. So with conversations with Gary, I think that this body has already done a really good job of managing those funds and where those funds are going to go to. But is there a county, or I know you're a part of the First Foundation, what are some of the criteria that they are going to use on distributing those funds out?
There are guidelines that were put in place. There's a memorandum of understanding that was created by Patrick Morrissey when has he been sworn in?
No.
Monday.
Monday.
As the Attorney General, he and some other law firms, some other attorneys were involved in creating a memorandum of understanding that outlines the guidelines. The funding needs to be used for prevention purposes, recovery housing, substance abuse treatment, law enforcement, diversion, interdiction efforts. I may not remember all of them, but there are guidelines in place. And then, so there's roughly, let's say roughly there's going to be $1 billion once all the money's paid out. 23.5% of that money is already earmarked for the counties and municipalities. Right. So approximately once a year for 7 or 8 years, each county and municipality is going to receive a check. The first payment was made last December.
Correct, in receipt.
Right. And that's probably going to be the largest payment for
The first payment, yeah.
Right.
Which is a good plan, because you don't dump all that money on a county or a municipality at one time, and then they're trying to, and then it can get wasted.
Right.
So the other thing, they haven't collected it all either.
Right, it's coming in.
It's coming in at different intervals.
That money that's paid directly to the counties and municipalities is for the counties and municipalities to use as they see fit within those guidelines.
Right.
And the auditor's office will look at how it was spent over time. The remainder, then there's a few, I want to say 3% that was earmarked for the attorney fees. The rest of it, 73.5 or 74%, is for the West Virginia First Foundation Board to manage.
Right.
How that's exactly done over time is to be determined. Initially, it was this initial grant opportunity, which we applied for and got some funding for. There's also been a very large request that was made by, I think ultimately Marshall University is the fiscal agent, but it's a program called ACORN. It's a federal program from CDC, and it's a matching fund program.
But there's guidelines in place.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And I guess my statement is, this commission needs to make sure that we stay on top of those policies, because we have seen municipalities and counties that have not had good policies in place, and they become dumping grounds, and they've had major issues with, people being brought to their areas and dropped off for, for the lack of a better term, for not very good treatment, and then they're left in their area. So I think it's important for this body to work with you and everyone else to make sure that we have strong policies in place.
Yep, I recently had a conversation with someone about that, and there's eyes being laid on that. That happened quite a bit. My understanding, that happened quite a bit in the county, in Harrison County.
It happened really bad in Parkersburg too, and up in Wood County.
It happened here once or twice, and it very aggressively got addressed.
Wood County and Parkersburg created a lot of beds for a lot of treatment, and a lot of people showed up for treatment, and the treatment centers did not really do the due diligence, and there was a lot of people that left the programs, and there was other municipalities and agencies from other states bringing troubled citizens to those areas and dropping them off.
Yeah, essentially they'll pull their homeless folks and they'll do a really generic pre-screen and say, yeah, bring them on up here.
Right.
They'll be transported from some other part of the state to be let into this program, and then when they get there, they say, "Oh, you know what? You're not eligible."
But they get those early dollars. They get that first chunk of dollars.
Sure.
So that's why I'm saying we need to be careful with the bad players. But
I'm with you.
That's ongoing as this commission will move forward, and we will develop those policies and make sure that we're keeping good players in place.
If I can, Mr. Hardy, understand this county commission by consensus, and Tim mentioned or alluded to the collection of potentially between $8 and $10 million that you'll receive over time. This county commission has dedicated those monies wholly and solely to the debt service of the Day Report Center, the $10 million expansion. So
And that is
there
a-
is no opportunity for you at this point as a body, unless you decide you want to change your mode and special.
And that is a great long-term plan because we are investing in ourselves.
You said they distributed through the grant process about 18 million or so, probably?
So there was a roughly 18 million earmarked.
And my question is, was it distributed to the different districts pretty equally in amounts of money? And then my next question is, in terms of our district, there was concern about Berkeley County taking it all. Did other counties in our district receive some grants, I'm sure?
Yes.
And hopefully.
So in Region 2, there was, don't hold me to any of this, $400,000 was awarded to Semper Libre to complete the construction of their recovery housing, which is a good use of those funds. It's much needed in this area. $400,000 was awarded to Hampshire County Pathways, which is also recovery houses down in Hampshire County. Victoria's House was awarded a couple $100,000. I don't remember the exact figure. Also in Region 2, I'm forgetting one. But yes, there was some money distributed throughout our region. And then the region that was most underfunded was not because $800,000 per category was earmarked per region, but in region, I think it's Region 1, the Northern Panhandle, they received very few applications. There's also something this is kind of a new precedent being set. If SAMHSA puts out an RFP and they receive 100 applications and 50 of those applications are incorrect or incomplete, you're just out of it. You're not going to get the money. There were about 50% of the applications received by the West Virginia First Foundation were either incomplete or they were incorrect. Well, all those folks have been given an opportunity to make corrections. So there's going to be a second round of funding because I think only roughly 10 million out of the 18 million earmarked
Was actually awarded.
Yes. So they opened it up to each applicant is notified of what they were missing or what they needed to correct in their applications, and they're given an opportunity to resubmit. And then roughly March, the determinations are going to be made for who's going to receive the rest of that money.
I'll send you a list of the distribution. It's on the website.
Okay,
I'll email
great.
to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was, part of our very early conversation, when,
Concern, yeah.
so I appreciate your works there and being inclusive and listen to everybody's needs because they all have needs. So I appreciate that because that's been on, the forefront of our discussions. So.
Yeah, more money is going to be coming to everywhere, but Region 2 as well.
Yeah, but thank you for holding up our word that we would be trying to help, smaller communities as well. So
You're welcome. I'm happy to do it.
thank you. Okay, guys, we need a motion to accept the West Virginia First Foundation grant.
So moved to do that.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thanks, sir.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Tim. Nice to meet you. Good luck to you.
Next up is County Administrator Gary Wine with the
Holiday.
25 holiday schedule.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's just a matter of process as you do every year at this time. We go to the state's direction and look at what they declare as holidays, and they're listed above. All the normal ones, no big changes with, at this point, half days for New Year's Eve and Christmas Eve. So those are the approved listing by the governor's office.
Okay. Subject to change at any moment.
Well, Morrissey followed suit at the justice.
Hopefully not the day before at 3 p.m.
Right. I need a motion to approve the holiday calendar.
So moved.
Properly
Second.
moved in second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. And next, Mr. Wine, is the IRS mileage rate.
Yes, sir. The same as previous, something that you do every year. early on to get in front of the changes by the IRS. The last fiscal year IRS reimbursement rates, which you don't have much of because you have a pretty good fleet of county vehicles, but we do run into instances where folks use their personal vehicles traveling who have to reimburse. Last year's rate was 67 cents per mile. It is now, in 2025, is 70 cents per mile. So if the commission chooses to adopt and follow the IRS standards.
Very good.
Move
Okay,
to approve.
been moved
Second?
and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And this is just a wee bit out of our agenda, but today is a National Day of Mourning. And I'd like for us to take a minute and just to pay our solemn respects to President Carter, who's buried today. Thank you.
Regardless of whether you thought he was a good president, he was one of the best human beings that ever served in the White House. I will say that.
Absolutely. Quite the humanitarian.
Smart fellow.
He was.
Smart fellow.
I've had the
I mean-
opportunity to volunteer and work with Habitat on many different occasions, and it was some of the best times I've ever had working with local people and local contractors, and and the people who were putting in the sweat equity, who are actually working to get their homes and their families working. It was just some of the greatest things I've ever been involved with was with Habitat and building some of those homes.
Good deal.
Yeah, well, I watched a lot of the news stuff recently, and they had interviewed all these people that are living in those homes that, he had a lot
Benning
to do
Road.
with, and are still, I'm talking, they've been living there 20,
No, yeah.
25 years,
It's an
And they're
investment.
still in those same homes.
And it's an investment in their community.
Yeah, yeah. Particularly down in the DC area.
Okay, do we need an executive session? No, sir. Okay, gentlemen, I need a motion to recess.
I'll move that we recess.
We are in recess. Thank you very much.